Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you some watercolor paints on the gel plate. I have out 3 gel plates here, but I end up only using the 8x10. This footage is from the Art Joy of Sharing live stream show that we do every Thursday at 8:30 Pacific, 10:30 Central Time. And I was playing with watercolors for the most part of it. I did do some other experimentation with some acrylic inks and gloss spray and maybe one other I don't know. Anyway, I left all that out of this video. So if you want to see that portion of it, you need to go over to the Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel and watch the recorded version of the live stream. And I will put a link to that in the description box below. So I'm starting out with some fluid watercolor that is made by Christy Taylor Creations. She makes these herself, and I thought they might be interesting. One thing about watercolor on a gel plate, if you don't change the viscosity of the paint, it just beads up. So as you were watching, if you were watching, you would have noticed that I put something on there after I put the watercolor on, but before I brayered it. And what that was is dish soap, just plain cheap dish soap, a drop of it on there, and then the brayer will smooth out all that beading. You still get a very, very different look with watercolor than you would with acrylic paint. It's not as crisp, it's not clear, it's very loose and free, and it's probably a really fun way to make a wash if you're going to do a watercolor painting. But if you don't put anything with the paint, it will bead up and you'll get a completely different look. And at some point through here, you'll see what it looks like when I don't put anything with it. In the past, I have added fluid matte medium to my watercolor. The dish soap works better, and it's a lot cheaper. Of course, these gel prints, if I'm going to use them in collage and go, mess around with a bunch of stuff on top of them, like, of course I will, because that's what I would do with them, they will need to be sealed. They become collage material. I will put matte medium over the top and seal them. And you'll see me do that because I talked about it during the live stream. So all that is in that little tub that I'm putting on there with the pipette is just plain old cheap Ajax dish soap. That's it. So this one started out with some yellows and oranges and reds, and then I put another layer over it with the yellow. That was on mixed media paper. I started out doing mixed media paper, which is a little bit heavier than I like for collage. I will collage with it, but it's heavier than I like. But I thought it would work better with all the wetness of watercolor. However, I switched to just regular printer paper, just text weight paper, and those worked fine. So I would just stick with that. I did have out some other fancier papers like mineral paper and rice paper, but I forgot about them and never did get to printing on them today. I think they would have some fun results as well. So the one with the orange, this one has 3 different layers printed one over top of the other. All the stencils that you'll see on the screen today are from StencilGirl products. I'm a Stencil Girl. I really love all of their artist designed stencils. High quality, they're interesting designs for mixed media artists because they're made by artists. They're designed by artists. So that's generally what I use these days. I don't even get out my other ones anymore, which is kind of sad but kind of happy because I found something I really like. I think that they are the best stencils, and that's what I tend to use when I grab some stencils. So this time, what did I use? I think I got out one of my pans of watercolors. Yeah, I did. I think that pen has a bunch of different more high quality brands in it, like M. Graham and Daniel Smith and Lucas, all those type of more expensive watercolors. I also at some point will use the Arteza watercolors that I have. Yeah, that's my more expensive watercolors all mixed up into one pan. They're just different ones. They're from tubes, and I just put them in half pans and put them in this case all together. I think that's what I used to start this out with, but it could have still been the Christy Taylor fluids. I wasn't paying enough attention. Sorry. I know I used the Christy Taylors. I know I used those more expensive ones, and I know I used Arteza, and I used StencilGirl stencils. These stencils, this one that I'm using right now, um, really cool, different, interesting stencil. The other one that has the weave in it is not the same designer, but they make, I mean, that background, I could just paint, something over the top of it like a deer or maybe paint some vines or something. It looks very organic. And I put a few different colors, some dark green, some light green, and some turquoise on that one. I think it turned out really cool and different, and no one would ever know how you did that. They would just be wondering how you made that, you know? it's it would be hard to decipher, which is kind of fun. I think I'm putting the lightest green on now, and then we'll get a close-up of this one. And that's mixed media paper again, so it's heavier. It's not as heavy as watercolor paper, but it's more chunky than I prefer for collage. I'll still use it though. I might paint over the top of it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sure what I'm going to do with any of these. I just like making colorful paper. I would just do it all day if I could. Um, Now I'm switching back again to the Christy Taylor ones. And this one is such a beautiful color. Oh, this is when I was talking about mixing it with matte medium. That's what I was doing. And see, there was too much water on there. The matte medium didn't change the viscosity, and I ended up with what is basically a droplet print, which has its own interest. I mean, it's not terrible. It's got its own power. So then I went ahead and after that put some of the dish soap with the leftovers, and it came out much more smooth. So then someone was asking me about matte medium and dish soap and would I use them together, and I said no, I wouldn't use them together. This is what I would do. I'd put a little bit of matte medium over one that's already finished and then brayer it on, and that will seal it, and now that piece is ready for collaging. It won't smear or move or change. It'll stay exactly as it is, and I can use it as parts for my collage. So then I think I came back to that color because I thought it was really, really pretty. That color is beautiful. It's not purple, it's not pink, it's somewhere in between. Gorgeous color. And her names of her colors are really interesting. They're all like girl names, like uh, Ariana and Liana and I don't know, those type of names. They're interesting. Christy Taylor Creations. So there's a stencil over the top of that one that had all the blotches on it. Still looks really cool. No reason not to like it. So this color is more of like a color of dark red wine. And I wanted to use it with the other color just to see what it would look like. And that one got too busy. But I popped a little bit of it over on this blue piece that I had, which turned out to be really cool looking. I love that stencil. It's called Celtic Spirals, I think. And it speaks to my heritage, and it makes my heart happy. I like that stencil a lot. So then I was wondering, no, this isn't it yet. Maybe it is. Oh, yeah, that turned out really cool. Happy with that. Oh, I wanted to see if I had a darker purple color, and I mixed two different colors together on the plate because I wanted something darker over the top of that one print. Same stencil, switched it in the different direction, and then put it over the top of that one, and it turned out really cool. layers upon layers of Celtic spirals I thought was very interesting. That's still with the Christy Taylor fluid watercolors. Of course, all watercolors can be fluid, so don't get stuck on that. If you want to use pan watercolors like you saw me do, that's perfectly fine. If you wanted to use tube watercolors and just blend them up, you could do that too. So then this is where there's still some pattern and design left on the plate. I can see it. I don't think you can see it on the video. And I thought maybe I would be able to pick it up with a thin layer of acrylic, but this did not work because the paint just mixed in with the acrylic when I was brayering and I didn't get much pattern. So that ends up being a first layer for something else. I don't remember what, or if it's even if I even have it here in the pile. But switch to a different stencil. I haven't even used this one. This stencil's cool. I know why I bought it because it's really awesome. I just haven't used it yet. It turned out so cool. I got out my pan watercolors again and I decided to put the stencil down first this time, which of course then it sucks itself to the print, the plate, and leaves white underneath when you print it on white paper. I mean, it leaves whatever the color of the paper is underneath. And I think this might have been the first time that I actually did it this way rather than putting the paint on first and then putting the stencil on top. It just kind of gives two different looks to what you're doing. So I added yellow and orange and red and purple and blue over the top of that stencil. Put on some soap, brayered it out a little bit, trying to keep the colors separated a little bit but blending slightly. And then I pulled the stencil off and I wanted to try to, there we go, that's what I did. I wanted to clean the stencil, and so I put it over that acrylic piece that had not worked correctly because it blended with the paint, and I ended up with a couple different really cool prints, and I just went ahead and sealed this one immediately because I know I have a project for that. Actually, I already am aware of a project I need to use these in. So that one's lighter but still really cool. That's just what's left over from the stencil, and they go together really well. So those will be coming up in an upcoming project that I know that I am responsible for. So I hope you're enjoying this video of watercolors with the gel plate. If you are, please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on the notification bells, share this on Pinterest, share it on Facebook. All those things really help out my channel by other people finding me through recommendations from YouTube, because YouTube says, oh, she must be making something good when you do all those things, and then they recommend me to other people. So I'm always very grateful when you do that. So this time I put some different 6x6 stencils on there. This is an 8x10 gel plate, and I wanted to use a color that I really like called indigo. It's one of my favorites in the watercolor range, and so I put it on with also some green and some purple through these set of stencils, and ended up with an interesting print, which you'll see in a second when I put the paper on there. And that will be the last one for this video. I do like this under paper where I'm cleaning off all the stencils and the brayer. I will also use that at some point in a project, because it's, even though it's, you know, supposed to be your waste paper, it's really not. It turns out with something cool on it too. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.